Girls Can,
Girls Will,
and Girls Did. I'm your host, Nania.
And I am Tahira.
So, Tahira, what in the world are we doing today?
Oh, well, we're going to discuss constellations.
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 Okay, I know what constellations are. But for those who may not know, discuss constellations.
So constellations are basically a group of stars that typically may look like something, or we've assigned a name to it. And these are stars that people have been using forever to navigate with, right? So during this time, we're coming into the late fall season, coming into winter, and now you can see the stars outside really well. So we're going to combine three things today. One is welcome to late fall, winter, right? And getting out there and seeing those beautiful stars. A second thing is learning to recognize the constellations, because it could be a survival skill if you do get lost, to figure out where you are based on the stars, and a nice little activity you can do with your kids.
Okay.
So I think you'll enjoy this one. So
all right. So we're going to get into some constellations.
yes. Okay, ladies. So here we have our materials. So we're using black poster board, right? And we basically took some scissors, find your scissors, and basically trace your flashlight across the poster board. That will give you a little round circle that you're going to use to cover the flashlight. Then you can go online and find different constellations that you would like to mimic on the actual cardboard. Now, this is the thing. It's best to look for any of the constellations that come out during the winter time over North America, right? You don't want to do constellations that wouldn't be recognizable because they're not in your hemisphere at that time of the year. So look for some. And I picked Leo and Gemini, which flank the Orion, the little Orion constellation that you'll see. We also talk about the Orion belt. So again, I went ahead and cut out the actual poster board according to the size of the flashlight. And then I went ahead and marked the poster board with the actual constellations. Okay, so I went ahead and pre-prepped that. So we didn't have to do all that on camera. All right, so the next thing you'll do, and then you can take any Sharpies, any pencil, anything to actually create the mark. I use a like a deco color Sharpie because it comes up on black poster board. So remember that. So if you're trying to work with something and then you're like, I can't see it, it's better to use like a paint Sharpie. All right, just a little tip there. So now the easy part is get a tack. You can use a needle, but I prefer the tack because it's a little bigger, so it'll make a little bigger hole to look more like a star. And once you've drawn the actual constellation on the poster board, then just literally at every node or every point that represents a star, poke through the poster board. And don't poke yourself like I just did. So I'm doing Leo right now. Trying to make sure I don't bleed. Again, this is something fun that you can do with kids. Just make sure you supervise them when it comes to activities with, you know, a pen like this, especially if they're little. And it's just great to do, like in the house, you know, they get to turn off the lights and do something fun, and they can actually see what the constellation look like. And then maybe go ahead and take them outside at night, if you got a fire pit, around a fire pit, and see if they can recognize those constellations. And then you can get into talking about how, you know, historically people have used them to navigate with, and maybe then they'll understand, say for instance, they do get lost in the woods, right? They can say, well, if it's Gemini should be on my left, or Leo should be on my left, and Gemini should be on my right. If that's the case, then that's north, right? And I'm just going to head that way, right? So those type of things. But it's also a fun little activity. So then, remember that if you want to do many different constellations, that you're going to need multiple flashlights. So for however many constellations you would like to show them, make sure you procure that same amount of flashlights. And these are little cheap $1 little flashlights. And I'm gonna tape it all the way down only because I want to make sure that the light filters through the holes and not through the sides and distorts. So let me get this one little side here. And we're gonna have to turn off some lights to make this work, so you can see if it'll actually film properly. In a minute here. Who would have thought such a simple activity can really be a very informative and educational one, and also survival skill, right? Basically, what this actual group of holes that you see from the flashlight represents Gemini. So each hole that you see represents a star. And basically you can, now when you're doing this at home, you're not filming, so you can turn off all the lights and you'll actually see it a little better. Not the middle circle, that's actually from the flashlight itself, but each hole represents a star, and that's Gemini. So then we're going to turn on, this is Leo. And if you can see it, can you see it? Mm-hmm. These star groupings represents Leo. And then once they're able to identify like the spacing and how the stars are clumped together, then you can go outside and see if they can recognize the same clump of stars based on what they see from the flashlight.
Now, Tahira, who would have thunk it? Who would have thunk it?
Yeah.
Stars.
Fun. Something fun for the kids. Something you can do during this time, the holiday season coming in. You know, you can get out there. But it's good that your kids can actually recognize the constellations before you even go outside. So now they can see it on the wall if you do it inside the house with a flashlight. And then you look up at the sky and be like, aha. So, you know, you never know when that might be a skill that your child may have to use or you may have to use.
Exactly. Because again, with the way things are going now, you never know.
So, hey, girls can.
Girls will. And girls did that.
So until next time, remember to like,
share,
and subscribe.